Are you ready to uncover the truth behind China's rise to power in Africa? A tale of investment, influence, and a growing debt trap. It all started with the Dragon of the East offering to bridge the gap between Africa's infrastructure and its growing population. But as it turns out, the cost may be too high. Join us as we delve into the facts, figures, and sinister motives. Don't miss out on this eye-opening journey on China's financial crisis taking down Africa. Because a step into a world of financial uncertainty, where one misstep can lead to bankruptcy. But fear not, as our channel, Bankruptcy, is here to guide you through the tough times and secure your financial future. Subscribe now, and let's get started. China's financial crisis is taking its toll on Africa, as many of the continent's nations are falling victim to a growing debt trap. It all began with the rise of China's economic power and the development of its infrastructure projects across the African continent. As the Dragon of the East crept up into the jungles of Africa, brought with it an offer of partnership and financing for many projects. This was something the IMF West and other nations had been reluctant to do, making China a different type of partner. African countries have welcomed Chinese investment, seeing it as an opportunity to bridge the gap between their current infrastructure and the needs of their growing population. China's pockets also run deep when it comes to investing in Africa. Between 2000 and 2006 alone, China lent nearly $125 billion to African countries. To keep this momentum going, Beijing recently announced a $1 billion African Infrastructure Development Fund, and in 2018, a whopping $60 billion African aid package. However, the reality on the ground is that Chinese companies are mainly using their own designs, labor, and materials to build their own projects. This lack of opportunity and investment in African countries has long been cited as a problem, as it leaves African contractors behind and little benefit for the local population. The debt trap is where the real danger lies. African nations have been warned of the consequences when they accept Chinese loans, as many countries have found out when they are unable to repay them. Uganda recently lost its only international airport after it failed to repay its loan to China, and Nigeria had to renegotiate a deal with the Chinese contractor when it couldn't pay. It's clear that China has the incentive to take over Africa, as it has access to many of the continent's resources, including oil, cotton, and mineral stores. China also uses this opportunity to gain influence and recognition, as many African countries have cut ties with Taiwan to foster deeper relations with China. China has offered African nations billions of dollars in loans to finance these projects, and while this may seem like a good deal on the surface, there is a downside. Many African nations are unable to repay these loans, and when they default, China has been known to take drastic measures, including taking over national assets. This was the case with Uganda, which lost its only international airport after failing to repay a loan of $207 million. The issue is that Chinese loans often come with a little oversight and a few conditions. This has created a breeding ground for corruption, as some African governments have taken advantage of the situation to borrow millions of dollars that they may not be able to afford. These loans have also pushed some countries into a debt trap, with Ethiopia's $4 billion Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway costing the country nearly a quarter of its total 2016 budget. While there are economic benefits to China in Africa, there are also more sinister motives at play. China is eager to establish a foothold in Africa, and its presence there is more than just about profits. China is looking to secure its resources, people, and potential for long-term economic stability. It is also looking to gain influence in African nations, and as more countries cut ties with Taiwan to foster deeper relations with China, Beijing is able to reap the rewards. In the past, conquering a nation was a game of military strength, and the 21st century has brought a new form of conquering. With Chinese companies and the Chinese Communist Party eager to establish a foothold in China, China is gaining control of the continent by offering to be a partner and financer for major infrastructure projects. Chinese companies are driving Africa's infrastructure initiatives, and they are exploiting the continent's resources and business opportunities. China has been providing financial and technical assistance to Africa's pressing developmental needs, and its pockets run deep when it comes to investing in the continent. In 2018 alone, China announced a $60 billion aid package for Africa. This has resulted in Chinese firms having their hand in almost every pie across the continent, including many of Africa's biggest ticket infrastructure projects. This includes the $12 billion coastal railway in Nigeria, the $4.5 billion Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway, and the $11 billion port and economic zone at Bagamoyo. Despite the economic benefits of Chinese investment, there have been warning signs. The $4 billion Addis Ababa-Djibouti Railway railway ended up costing Ethiopia nearly a quarter of its total 2016 budget. And Kenya's 80 Chinese-financed railway from Mombasa to Nairobi has already gone 4 times over budget, costing the country upwards of 6% of its GDP. China needs what Africa has for long-term economic stability, and the continent is a sitting mine with a plethora of mineral stores, including manganese, cobalt, coltan, and carbonites. This means that China is able to preserve its economic interests while gaining influence in the countries it has investments in. In conclusion, China's financial crisis is having a significant impact on the African continent, from a debt trap to the exploitation of resources and business opportunities. Africa is feeling the effects of China's economic struggles. We hope this video has provided a clearer understanding of the situation and the potential dangers. It's vital to stay informed and to think critically about the global economic landscape and how it affects us all. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of Bankruptcy. If you want to stay ahead of the game and secure your financial future, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Until next time, take care and stay informed.